Alright, it's ScrunchieSims. I apologize, my air conditioning is still out, and so there's probably a little bit of fan noise. I would usually try to turn off the fans, but yesterday it was 100 degrees, and I think today is also about 100 degrees, and it's real hot. So I've tried to mitigate it with this little styrofoam buddy kind of blocking my microphone setup here. But if you hear a little bit of it, maybe forgive it in your heart a bit. The first episode of The Sims Sparked has just been released online. It was aired on TBS a few days ago, but now it's out on the BuzzFeed multiplayer channel, and it's really getting watched by more of an audience at this point, so I thought I would give it a reaction. Now, if you watched my previous video about it, you might know that I was a bit of a skeptic, I would say. I mean, I was excited about maybe the possibilities, but I had a lot of concerns. And I'm excited to say that I actually enjoyed the show a lot more than I thought I would, and I think a lot of my concerns, at least so far, I didn't really see come up, at least in this first episode. So let's get into what I think the show did well, what I think could be improved or I was confused by, and just my overall impression about it. So first of all, I did enjoy it a lot more. I had a good time watching it, and I'm excited for the next episode, which is great. That's not how I thought I would feel after the trailer. And actually, the show has introduced me to some simmers that I didn't really watch before that I really enjoyed on Sims Sparked, and now I'm looking up their channel and seeing their normal content, which I think is really great. I think having the team challenges instead of like solo challenges lets us see these creators in a different environment than usual. I really enjoyed in the first skill challenge how they had those 3 elements that they had to include in their story. I think that's a really strong storytelling challenge, and is something that teams utilize very well, and is more of an objective kind of grading scale for them than I originally thought based on what they had previously said about the challenges. It was really weird for me, and honestly it gave me a lot of secondhand embarrassment to see a lot of these simmers get really caught up on their story presentation on that first challenge. If you haven't seen the show yet, they have basically 3 roles per team. There is a stylist who makes the sim and styles them. There's a builder who builds the environment and the set, and there's also the storyteller that is in charge of basically the storytelling aspects of it. Although the stories are pretty collaborative in how the teams came up with them, the storyteller is the one actually involved in getting that story across to the judges. But it was weird seeing so many of these simmers get tripped up on that storytelling element when they had to talk directly to the judges. I understand that can be very anxiety-inducing, but I wonder if there was a way for the show to better communicate what that was going to be like. And also, I do think that's one of those things that is very ramped up in editing. If you go back and look at it, there are a lot of artificial pauses put in, the music stops or changes to a different music to express the sort of something bad's happening, something awkward's happening feeling. And that definitely works on me as an audience member, but I do think we should keep in mind that unlike normally when we see these simmers where they're editing themselves and we think of that as a bit more candid, this is being edited as a reality show, so I think we all need to keep that in mind. I did really feel for those simmers who were getting tripped up because I think the storytelling role was the hardest, at least in the first challenge, especially when their team had time management issues where they couldn't test what they were going to do in front of the judges before they actually had to. So I could see how that could be a pretty anxiety-inducing situation. I also think the main challenge was really good. In my previous video, I had been concerned based on the description and the copy that they put out around what the judging rubric would be, what kind of challenges there would be, but I think it was a really well thought through challenge actually that I think had enough structure and that twist in the middle, but also allowed enough creativity to really have the teams say whatever they wanted. Now, spoiler alert if you've not seen the episode, one team did go home. There are 4 teams total. It's a 4-episode run. In each episode, another team will get eliminated until there is the final team, which I guess will then battle it out amongst each other. So I was sad about the team going home. I think I would have been sad about any of the teams because I liked all of the simmers or fans of the simmers in every group. But I think it was really obvious that they just had some time management issues, and I think the judges were basically kind of forced to choose that because of their really prominent time management issues that the other teams didn't have. The ones in that team that did get eliminated are Spring Sims, Urban Sims, and D Sims, which I was sad to see go. Now here's what I think could improve about the show, or some things that I was a little bit confused by. There wasn't a lot of focus in this episode, at least, on the stylist role. There were very few comments from the judges, at least of what we were shown, about the clothing. So I would have liked that role to be a little more fleshed out, because I feel like we didn't hear from those players that were in that role that much. We didn't really see a lot of feedback or decision making regarding that. So I would really like to see that third role be a little bit more important. I also wish in the judges' feedback there'd be more about how groups could time manage better. The show did show us really specifically that the judges can see them live as the groups are making their decisions. So I wish that there was a little more personalized feedback on, you could have cut back on this and then saved more time for that, which I think would be a little more interesting feedback-wise than just this like, oh, I reacted well, oh, I thought that was okay thing that was happening. I think we could have learned more about how they could play within the confines of this game show, really. One thing that kind of tripped me up is they made all of the teams use an editor that was supplied by the show to edit in their machinima challenges. I guess, you know, they're all YouTubers, all of these contestants are, so they really all know how to do video editing. And it does take time to convey what you want an edit to be to another editor that's just coming onto the project and hasn't heard everything that's happened beforehand. And I think that actually might have slowed down all of the teams instead of helped them. You know, that could be something that's a little unfortunate. Maybe they have an editing meeting beforehand. Maybe they have the editor there the whole time. I think those things could have improved. Maybe they edit it themselves. I'm pretty sure all of them know how to edit on Premiere. That was a little weird, and it felt like it actually might have hurt the teams more than helps them, but I understand that the show wants them to have an even playing field, so that's why they supply their own editors. I also don't think the voiceover should have been maybe as emphasized or even used at all in the Machinima challenge. I think the challenge would have been better if they had actually had the challenge to make this story work without using any words. Not only would that be more of a creative storytelling challenge, but also they wouldn't have to spend the time crafting dialogue and then performing it, which seems very tertiary to the whole situation. And I think that's time that could have been used to refine other aspects of the challenge. I'm not really excited about the voiceover aspect, nor do I think it's necessary, and I actually think if I were in charge of this show, season 2 would not have that. I just don't think it's important. But overall, I'm really glad to say I was pleasantly surprised. If you're interested to hear what I thought about the show before, you can check out my previous video. I'll have that link in the description. But anyway, until next time, thank you for watching.